Inside a legionary fortress on the empire's northern edge, a commander lies dead. He had governed the western provinces and just led his army back from a campaign beyond the frontier. Now the soldiers crowd around the dead man's son, a young man who holds no imperial title. What the troops are about to do violates the succession system Diocletian had created. Welcome to Same Day, Different Century. I'm Zach. Today is July 25th. The 3rd century had nearly broken Rome. In roughly 50 years, dozens of men claimed the throne, most raised by their own soldiers and many killed within months. Frontiers buckled. The Emperor Diocletian, a soldier from the Balkans, decided the problem was structural. One man could not guard the Rhine, the Danube, the Eastern Desert, and Britain all at once. So around 293 AD, he divided the task among 4. 2 senior emperors, called Augusti, would share supreme authority over a single empire, each taking primary responsibility for roughly half its territory. Each appointed a junior colleague, a Caesar, to share the burden and eventually succeed him. Historians call this the Tetrarchy, the rule of 4. Diocletian took the east. His fellow Augustus, Maximian, took the west. Beneath them served 2 Caesars, and the western one was a career officer named Constantius, later nicknamed Chlorus, the Pale. Constantius had a son from an early relationship, born in the Balkans probably in the early 270s. His name was Constantine. In 305, Diocletian did what no Roman emperor had done voluntarily. He abdicated, and compelled Maximian to step down with him. The 2 Caesars moved up to Augustus. Constantius now ruled the west, and 2 new Caesars were appointed to fill the vacancies. Here the system revealed its fault line. Many expected the junior thrones to go to the grown sons of the sitting emperors, Constantine and Maximian's son Maxentius. Both were passed over. The new Caesars were men tied to the eastern Augustus, Galerius. Blood had been denied in favor of the network, and the young men raised near the summit of power now stood outside it. Constantine at this point was not with his father. For years he had lived at the eastern court, serving in the emperor's campaigns in the east and on the Danube. His presence there was useful to Galerius, an experienced officer and also a guarantee of his father's loyalty. Then Constantius, now senior Augustus in the west, asked for his son back. He wanted Constantine to join him for a campaign in Britain, and Galerius let him go. What happened next survives mainly through the writers sympathetic to Constantine, so the drama deserves caution. The Christian author Lactantius describes a night flight across the empire, Constantine maiming the imperial post horses behind him so no one could overtake him with countermanding orders. Whether or not the horses were real, the urgency points to something true. Leaving Galerius's orbit was not a simple furlough. Constantine reached his father in Gaul, crossed the Channel, and marched north with the army against the Picts of what is now Scotland. Constantius completed a successful campaign. Then, back inside the walls of Eboracum, the senior emperor of the West fell ill and died. The date was the 25th of July. A dead emperor left a vacancy the Tetrarchy was built to fill in an orderly way. It did not fill this one. By the system's rules, Constantius's death should have elevated the sitting Western Caesar, Severus, to Augustus, with Galerius in the east approving every move. Constantine was outside that chain entirely. He held no tetrarchic office. But the army at York did not consult the rules. These were troops who had marched with Constantius, and many had served under his family for years. To them, loyalty ran to the commander and his line, not to a constitutional scheme drafted in distant palaces. They raised Constantine up and hailed him as their emperor. One late Roman account adds a specific hand behind the moment. A king of the Alemanni named Crocus, serving in the Roman army, who is said to have pushed the acclamation forward. The detail survives in a single source and can't be confirmed, but it fits the setting. Constantius's field army included Germanic troops for whom personal loyalty to successful war leaders often carried great weight. There was also a grim symmetry to the place. Nearly a century earlier, in 211, another emperor had died inside this same fortress at the end of another northern campaign, Septimius Severus. Eboracum was where Roman power in the north concentrated, and twice it became the place where a reign ended and a contested succession began. What made Constantine's elevation so dangerous was precisely what the Tetrarchy had been designed to abolish: an emperor made by his soldiers without sanction from above. That was the disease of the 3rd century, and here it was again, in the person of the son the system had excluded. Constantine's response reveals a colder judgment than the cheering around him. He did not march on his rivals. Instead, he sent word to Galerius, the senior Augustus, along with a laurel-wreathed portrait, the formal gesture by which a new emperor asked to be recognized. In effect, he announced his power and simultaneously offered to negotiate its terms. Galerius faced a bad set of options. Accounts describe him as furious. He could reject Constantine outright and risk a civil war against a man who had now controlled Britain and Gaul and their armies, or he could absorb the usurpation into the system and hope to contain it. He chose the second. He refused to recognize Constantine as Augustus, but offered him the junior rank of Caesar. Severus was promoted to Augustus in the west as the rules required. Constantine accepted. He was no longer merely a usurper. He was a recognized member of the College of Emperors, holding real territory with an army that had already shown it would raise him. The precedent was set, and it was corrosive. Blood had forced its way back into a system built to exclude it. Within months, the compromise at York detonated across the empire. In Rome that October, Maxentius, Maximian's Passover son, saw what Constantine had gotten away with and seized power in the capital. The old abdicated Maximian came out of retirement to back him. Severus, the newly promoted Augustus, marched against Rome, failed, and was captured and killed. The machine of 4 rulers dissolved into a scramble of rival emperors, sometimes 5 or 6 at once, each with a claim and an army. Constantine spent those years consolidating. He secured the Rhine, held Gaul and Britain, and largely let his rivals exhaust one another. His break came in 312. He invaded Italy, defeated Maxentius outside Rome at the Milvian Bridge, and took the western capital. It was on that campaign, by his later account, that he attached his fortunes to the Christian God, a turn that would reshape the empire far more than any single battle. Now master of the West, Constantine shared the empire with the eastern Augustus, Licinius. The two were allies and then rivals. In 324, Constantine defeated Licinius and became what the Tetrarchy had been engineered to make impossible: a sole ruler of the entire Roman Empire. What he did with that power still shapes the map and the calendar. He founded a new capital on the Bosphorus and named it after himself, Constantinople, the city that would carry the Eastern Empire for another 11 centuries. He gave Christianity legal standing and imperial favor, and in 325 he summoned the bishops to Nicaea to define what the faith would officially teach. This began the process that eventually made Christianity the empire's official religion under Theodosius in 380 AD. None of that was visible inside the fortress at York in July of 306. A provincial army broke the empire's succession rules to crown a dead commander's son, and the senior emperor, unable to stop it, chose to legalize the act rather than fight it. Every larger thing Constantine became was built on surviving that first act outside Diocletian's succession system. The system Diocletian designed to end army-made emperors produced, at York, the most consequential army-made emperor of them all, and the dynasty founded that day outlasted the very rules meant to prevent him. That same day, different century. I'm Zach. We'll be back tomorrow with another date, another story. Thanks for listening. Hey guys, it's Zach. If you're enjoying the show, please go to the episode description and there's a link where you can text me directly. It's a one-man show. I promise I'll be the one responding and talking with you. I'd love to hear from you and get to know you. Tell me what you're enjoying about the show, hit me up with some recommendations for future episodes, or anything else you want to talk about. I'll see you tomorrow.